We want the UAE or Abu Dhabi in particular, like, let's be the beacon of light for financial literacy and how financial literacy is delivered in schools and to the youth for the rest of the world to look in on and go, cool, they know what they're doing. Let's follow their lead. Like that's what I want for Abu Dhabi. It's something that affects every single child. I said this earlier in the podcast. Every single child that goes through our education system will interact with money at some point, like in their life, right?
Hi, Ben. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us here in Abu Dhabi. You're adapting your adaptive city. You've been living here for quite a while. Can you please share with us a little bit about your journey? You're originally from the UK. What brought you all the way here? How long have you been living here? And why the Middle East?
Welcome. I feel like it is home for me now. Originally from London. My previous background to coming out here was as a professional rugby. That was my thing. That was growing up as a young boy. That's all I ever wanted to do. And did that fortunately while I was in London, but made a decision that I was going to transition away from that and move into finance. Again, being from London, a lot of friends all went off into the city to work in different financial services sectors. And basically decided, look, if I'm going to go into finance, maybe not get caught up in the rat race of London. Is there anywhere else that I can maybe go and explore? So basically used my rugby to come out and then and basically had a career in wealth management for over a decade. And during that time, my brother moved out, obviously with my wife, and I've got children, and more recently my sister moved down. So like all of us are here now, and again, very much home for us, and it's a great place to live, and somewhere we see ourselves being for a very long time.
So that's very interesting. So you come from London, you're playing rugby, you studied finance in London. What you could have gone anywhere in the world, I guess. Yeah. Why did you end up choosing Abu Dhabi or the UAE to settle it?
It's really it was really by chance, really. I think I basically bought my girlfriend, but now my wife at the time, when she was 21, we came out for a holiday. And she had some friends here, and we got chatting, and one of their friends sort of offered me a job on the spot, even though I was sort of playing rugby in finance, and it just felt right. I mean, like, we came out here, really enjoyed it all those years ago on holiday, and then sort of, well, when my rugby contract sort of expired and I was looking at different opportunities, I thought, well, why not revisit that conversation? So yeah, I mean, it was literally because we came on holiday at such a great time, and just completely opened my eyes, right? Like, I think back, especially 12 years ago, I mean, I really didn't know going on to that holiday where we were really going. The Middle East, first time I've been in the Middle East, and it was first time I've been in the Middle East. So it was just, yeah, breathtaking and massively eye opening, and I absolutely fell in love with the place. And very quickly, when my rugby sort of stopped, I was like, right, get me back there.
So you actually use it as a card, like you use what you had in your pocket to advance your career, to explore maybe new horizons in somewhere that's probably different. Well, it is different from the West. On your way here, the first time before you didn't know this place, on the way here, what did you have in mind that might be influenced by the image that we have in the media about the Middle East?
Yeah, I mean, like, so we went on holiday to Dubai. Like, I mean, I'm not ashamed to say all those years ago, I thought Dubai was the country and Abu Dhabi was the capital city of Dubai. I mean, that's how naive I was at the time, young and naive. But so I wasn't, yeah, well, really wasn't sure what to expect about Abu Dhabi. I knew having been on holidays to Dubai what Dubai was like, but within minutes, every sort of stereotype that I might have had in my mind was now Abu Dhabi. When, like I said, being play rugby all my life, went down to the local rugby club, and with it on the first night, automatically sort of fell into that sort of expat community from the rugby club, and yeah, from then on, I just never really looked back. And then I think being an expatriate as well, like, there's something special about that, because everyone had their first day once, right? And everyone will go out their way to help people. And I think the the longer you're here, the more you also integrate with the sort of local community, and you have interaction with the local community, and how welcoming they are, and how grateful they are for you to be here and contributing to the country. And yeah, I think, like I said, it's a wonderful place to live, and very quickly blew any stereotype that I had out of water.
Was it different back then, Abu Dhabi or UAE? You said you came here at 12 years. It was different from now. Yeah, I mean, in that way.
Just the place changes in months, not years, right, or decades. Like the place changes all the time. It's such an ambitious country, and yeah, I just think consistently they're looking to find ways to regenerate the country, and bring new people to the country, and attract, obviously, a tourism industry. We're trying to diversify away from the sort of energy sector traditionally. They're really big on trying to bring startups and SMEs to the country, and people come set up their companies from here. And so, yeah, I mean, the place is evolving all the time, and it's exciting. There's always something that comes out in the newspaper saying, "Oh, Abu Dhabi are building this development, or they're bringing this show over here." Or so it's just constantly evolving, and yeah, I know that if 12 years ago, the place is unrecognizable, right? In terms of how it's developed, and even, and I know that in a few years' time, I'll be saying the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Scarcity is changing, and I think in a positive way, it goes against all stereotypes. Me myself, actually, growing up in Europe of Middle Eastern background, 12, 20 years ago, the stereotypes about the Middle East was that it's a dangerous place, nothing's happening. You rescue life by going there. So it's very heartwarming, and I see it personally. I think it's heartwarming to see how much the whole region actually is progressing and building and doing exciting stuff, focusing on education as well, which is the field in which you work. I'd like to transition to talk a little bit about your company, Squirrel. What do you guys do, and why you chose this field to focus on in the educational space?
Yeah, so I mean, Squirrel is a financial literacy EdTech platform. So I actually met my co-founders in education. So I've obviously come from a finance background. My co-founder, 25 years in education, classrooms in senior leadership positions in schools, and we came together from a mutual friend. Sort of a mutual friend sort of introduced us because of write for the national press, and contribute to national press in terms of personal finance, and they said, like, you used to should speak. And Matt basically had an idea of how to bring financial literacy into schools and the school ecosystem, a subject that touches every single child. Every single child that goes through our education system needs to have a relationship with money, or will have a relationship with money, right? Yet we don't really do anything to prepare children for the future when it comes to managing money efficiently, our mindset around money.
Are you talking about the case of the UAE, or of Europe, or international?
Global. And there'll be very few governments on the planet who are saying, our population nail it, and they really understand how to manage money, right? So it really is a problem globally, and obviously what obviously being here and being expats for a long time, we've built a platform that really focuses on building habits and behaviors. I think one of the things I learned when all the years that I've been working with sort of international clients is, my belief is that what separates people who are good with personal finance, and what maybe separates people that struggle maybe with money, is much more to do with their habits and behaviors than it necessarily is their, like, just knowing what to do. And then what we wanted to do was build an EdTech platform that gave children the opportunity to practice what they're going to have to do out in the real world, rather than just give them a video, or come in and lecture to them, or worksheets. Like, evolve past knowledge consumption, actually give them an environment where they're consistently having to do the things they're going to have to do out in the real world. And we've basically done that. And within sort of 20 months of being live, we're up to sort of 70 odd schools and 25,000 children. So
out of the age range,
we want to build it out from 5 to 18 years old. I'd say at the current minute our sort of sweet spot is about sort of 6, 7 years old to 11, 12 years old at the minute. We do want to build it out so that it can a child pick it up at the beginning of their sort of academic journey, and it will be with them all the way until they leave sort of the school.
Yeah.
Sort of 18 years old.
So you give the schools access to that platform where they get to log into it, the kids, and how does it work? And walk us through the whole process.
Yes, I mean, essentially what we've done is we've combined a school rewards program with an like an EdTech financial literacy sort of virtual economy.
So all offline, online, kind of.
No, it's because it's only offline. No, so it's all online. So yes, it's all online. So teachers, the school benefits from the reward system, and then basically children have sort of asynchronous learning within this virtual economy, where the virtual economy, children are required to have the sort of obligations they all get paid a virtual salary, they've got regular utilities they've got to pay, they've got to move money sort of between current accounts and savings accounts, they've got to deal with emergency expenses and budget for different things. So, and again, we're still right at the beginning of our journey, right? We want to build our platform and push our platform so that children really have got experiences everything they're going to face out in the real world, so that they've got that ability to sort of anchor back to it when they are faced with these real life decisions, and in a sense get it to the point where it's so meaningful that when they're faced with these real decisions in the real life, they're like, I know how that played out in Squirrel, so I know what to do now, right? Instinctively, I think our aspiration is to get it to a point where, do you know, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix. Yeah, but his coach talks about Michael practices so hard so that he doesn't have to think when he's on the court, right? He's instinctively.
So yeah, reflex.
And that's what we want to try and get to a point where children have interacted with our platform enough that when it comes to actually making decisions, or those impulse decisions where typically our population at the moment get caught out.
What are the most actually impulse decisions? Are you talking about buying maybe a coffee or some extra candies that they don't really need, or taking a loan from the bank? What are the most common mistakes that people do that you're really focused on? And the world.
I think it escalates. I mean, like you said, like it starts with unnecessary spending, right? Through to like which might be just overspending on a month-to-month basis, through to then taking out borrowing a lot, so then purchasing things that people don't need, and understanding the implications of those decisions. I think what we want to try and do is build a platform where children also have that ability to reflect on the decisions that they make as well. So like we want to get it to a place where like they might overspend in our virtual world, or they might, for example, pull out their investments when the markets are like in our virtual investment platform when markets are maybe down, right? And then something they'll get a notification and it will ask them to reflect on, would you make that same decision like 2-3 days later? Would you make that same decision today? Right? So helping children understand the implications of those decisions, right? And giving the children the opportunity to reflect on potentially decisions they've made in a virtual environment, which is safe for them to make mistakes, right? So that's where we want to get to. But I think from to answer your question, I think it's just a sliding scale. One like goes from just overspending a little bit on a monthly basis through to eventually like borrowing money, payday loans, and get yourself into real problems. So that's we want to try and, like I said, give that environment for children to if you're going to make those mistakes, let's make it in a virtual environment. Like pilots don't go out straight into an airplane and start flying airplanes. They spend the time in a simulator, like making mistakes, so when they're out flying the planes, they don't make mistakes.
No. And I think besides it can be exciting for the kids to play it as a game. I mean, that's the gamification of learning. That's how you learn as well. Like playing, and there are many others are actually platforms that teach people history through games. So I guess also, playing or discovering, I guess there's a playful element to the platform, right? Or is it just
Absolutely. I think
entertaining?
Well, I have elements of it. I think the opportunity for children to sort of emulate what that like it's just 7-8-year-olds, 9-year-olds using our platform feel like they've got now the responsibilities their parents have, right? So like they feel like they're emulating their parents. So that sort of gamification of giving them the same environment, like right, you get paid a virtual salary, which is limited, right? And doesn't, I mean, you only get paid a set amount, and you've got bills that you've got to pay, and then there's consequences if you don't pay your bills on time, and you benefit from moving your money to sort of savings accounts that sort of pay or reward you for saving. And I think that sort of that gamification of or simulations really engaging for children, because they're all growing up so quick now, right? And they want to, they know how what we're doing on our platform will transition out into the real world. They can see, they all understand how, like, in terms of how money influences the world. And we are very conscious that we want to make sure that children understand that money is a tool to fuel the life you want, and nothing not to become obsessive about, right? So we don't, our platform isn't, the win state of our platform isn't who's got the most money. It's who's consistently doing the things that are going to build those positive habits, right? So you could have less in your current savings accounts, but because you are paying your bills on time, because you're paying emergency expenses from money you've set aside in an emergency fund, for example, the system's giving you points all the time. Whereas someone who, like, could have just be doing nothing with the money, just stacking it up, like, would be lower down sort of the leaderboard. Because what we want to do is we want to incentivize the children who are engaging with the platform and building those habits that are going to allow them to be successful.
So you're not trying to make them obsessed about money. Money's not going to make you happy, but it's going to solve your money problems. So the idea, that's what sometimes people say, right? Like, it's important. Like, without money, you can build things. You can't go on a holiday. You can buy that toy. You're making sure that they learn how to handle money to prevent any future problems as adults, or any stress that might come with not being able to, manage your finances, which is a big problem actually that we face, because you don't get taught to how to spend money or how money's made or invested or saved. And then once you become an adult, you're like, oh shoot, I don't know what to do. And yeah, and you learn by the hard way sometimes. Like, I can talk from my personal experience, because some parents actually try to think they are doing their kids a favor by not teaching them about money. Kind of, don't worry, I got it. You don't have to think about money. But maybe actually we should try your approach, right, Squirrel, and teach them in a safe, without breaking the bank, in a safe environment to simulate how money works.
Yeah, I mean, the rule number one in our household was we don't talk about money, right? Like, that was one of the things that our parents used to have all the time. Like, anytime I used to ask any questions, or how much do you earn, or how much do things cost, or why can't we afford this, or whatever. So we don't talk about money in this household. But yeah, I mean, our objective is, like I keep saying, is we're not trying to create the next generation of Warren Buffetts, right? Like, that's not necessarily what we're trying to do. We just want children to go out into the real world and live sort of like fulfilled and independent lives, because money makes sense to them. I think what I want for children is that if you manage your money efficiently, you have choice, right? Whereas if you don't, choices are made for you, right? And that's really what I want to get to. Freedom, right? Like, and being able to live life on your terms, spend the time doing the things that you value, right? So that's that financial independence is really where I want to lead children to, not riches or wealth. I mean, that's not what we're trying to do. I think we want children to be financially independent. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Let's go back to the start, the beginnings of Squirrel. How do you come up with the idea? What inspired the name Squirrel? It's very cute. And as a father, so you're a father of two kids. Yeah. I guess, do you like squirrels? So yeah, it's very popular.
It's so the founding story was Matt. So Matt, your co-founder, yeah, Matt. So he basically was working in the school when he first got here, and he wanted to do things that really engaged the children. He could recognize children like talking about entrepreneurship, but like talking about money and business. So he basically ran a very manual banking program for the children, and yeah, sort of really. So him and his year 6 teaching partner cut up a load of fake money. They told children with wallets into school, and then started sort of handing money out. Even in the class. Now they had desk rent, they had textbook rent, they had a school fee they had to pay. They could bank a couple of times a week, and it all took it in turns, sort of being the bank teller on the class spreadsheet. They could buy a business license, and they would start businesses around the school, selling cupcakes, friendship bracelets around the school.
understand.
Right earlier on, the amount was sort of reward children for doing good things within the classroom, so positive behaviour, homework, answering questions. Again, right earlier on, he would sort of find them on the spot, right, for not following school code. Got everything he wanted out of that program. He saw a real increase in engagement in classes, but also a huge increase in like financial literacy dialogue. Children were going home asking their parents questions about money, and then those conversations were coming back into the classroom, and Matt was able to sort of facilitate that conversation in the classroom. So he got everything he wanted out of it, but his sort of aha moment came when he had a bit of a class party one of the first times he ran the program, and he basically, him and the teachers and the parents went out and bought a load of fake plastic toys, pizzas, donuts, and stuff, and children could use their fake money they've accrued over the term to basically have a bit of class sale, right? He gave the top 3 money earners in the class. He gave them an opportunity to bid for the classroom guitar. I think I told you before, like Matt, I think thought he was Jimi Hendrix in front of these year 6 kids, and I think the guitar was more for him than necessarily was the children. But he said, look, when he's telling me this, he's like, Ben, I promise you, all 3 of those children were desperate to walk away with my guitar. Mr. O'Brien's guitar at the end of the day would have been a big deal. He said to him, look, you've all got about $14,000-$15,000. It can't go for less than $10,000, but knock yourself out and bid for it. And he said, well, it felt like a lifetime of back and forward, of deliberation, and obviously the children in front of these children were screaming his kids bid for it. He said, not one of them decided to put any bid in for it, right? So that sort of obviously blew his mind, because he was like, well, there's no real prize at the end of this initiative. Like, I mean, I'm giving you away my guitar that I didn't really want to give away, right? So he was quite thankful in the end that it did it away. But but he said, he pulled him aside and said, well, what was you thinking when you were there, stood up there? And they just basically said, we had to do things that the other children didn't, whether that was when we had opportunities to spend, we saved, whether that was starting businesses, whether that was working extra hard to get rules from you as the teacher. It's more important for us to finish the program strong. So, Matt thought, wow, there's some real value to this, right? Like, that children were able to see the real benefit. And the thing that was flashing in my mind when I was listening to that story, so I'm hearing this story from Matt for the first time, and it's like this light bulb's going off in my head, and it's that instant gratification, the delaying of instant gratification. Children are able to go, oh, I really want this guitar, but it's more important for me to finish the program strong, like be the top performers in that. And that's really tied into my whole ethos about habits and behaviors. And we've just become very obsessed about building the environment where children can then build on that sort of delaying instant gratification those children had in that sort of manual version, and let's find more ways to ingrain those habits into children. So that's sort of the origin. Why Squirrel? Again, Matt's will take the credit for this, but I mean, it really relates to me as well. Like, in terms of, there's a saying, like, generations gone past would always say, or like your grandparents would always, like, as you're walking away from going to see them, they'd always give you like a $5, and they'll say, make sure you squirrel that away, right? Like, it's always like, I'll save that for a rainy day sort of thing, but like, squirrel that away. Yes, I think that fits nicely. Obviously, we're working with children as well, so I think it's people always ask why Squirrel, but they all say, look, it's quite a cool name. So I'm glad we picked it, and it's hopefully it resonates with as many people as possible.
It does, I'm sure. So you said you built out the platform. How were the beginnings? I mean, most startups usually struggle at the beginning, quite a few months, sometimes years. Did you hit the ground running? How did you ensure that? How did you shed the light on the whole concept? To reach out to schools, you had already contacts. Before recording, you were telling us that you're already working with the government, schools here around Abu Dhabi. How did you make the first? What would be your advice, and how did you handle the whole thing at the beginning? Yeah, and the tech side, of course, because you guys are not techie like that. So many things to think about.
That's the biggest challenge, right? See, 2 non-tech founders trying to build an EdTech product is normally a recipe for disaster. But so yeah, we tendered out to so many different companies, and as you can imagine, you get in the companies who say the like just a whole range of, you will build you whatever you want from $10,000 all the way through to sort of $500,000. Yeah, so there's that. So that was one of the biggest challenges. We've managed to find a really, really good sort of like dev team out in the States who built our platform. They were involved in building one of the biggest financial literacy EdTech platforms in the States. So to that we felt really comfortable. We needed a company that wasn't just going to take orders. They were going to consult, right? Like, and push back and be like, look, in our experience, that's not the right thing to do, right? And we got that from them. So yeah, and then we looked and we knew we needed to just try and find someone who was going to lead on our tech from internally. So we managed to find that. And the bit they mentioned about the government, we went through the MAN Accelerator program, which is the social contribution.
Oh, it's called again?
MAN, which is this. I don't think I pronounced that properly.
How did he spell it for our audience?
MAAN. So it's the Social Contribution Authority in Abu Dhabi, and we went through their accelerator program, and yeah, I mean that has been really beneficial for us. We've got nice relationships with the team there, and we're a socially certified business, and they do a lot to support their startups and their ecosystem of people who are trying to make impact, especially in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, that's sort of was the springboard into kicking off the business, and then it's a case of trying to go find those first schools, and you sort of have to leverage networks, like relationships, and do whatever you can for people just to give you an opportunity. And most of it started off by like, can we just put it in your year 4, or your year 5 year group, right? And then they give you a chance in 1 year group, and that then evolves into 2-3 year groups, and then the next thing they put it through halfway through the primary school. And so that's sort of how we've organically sort of built our platform. It's been upon us to make sure that we provide enough value where schools are like, you know what, this is really, really working for us. So yeah, that's the sort of origin story. I mean, a lot of work and a lot of effort and commitment's gone to be honest to that. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I've never been more excited about what I'm doing.
Because you have a mission to read it. I leave it. It's not only about the money and about the fame and the skills, but you also a mission that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't like I never sort of sprung out of bed in the morning like I do now, and excited to bring more schools on board and work with more potential partnerships, and how to. I mean, this what we're trying to achieve is way bigger than just Squirrel, right? Like, I mean, to try and make children financially literate, we need as many people and corporates and government institutions all to buy into the same mission, right? And it's a big problem we're trying to tackle. So it's great when you can speak to people and bring other people on board with what you're trying to do, and look at ways you can collaborate with people, and really just to enrich those students' lives that we're working with.
You're probably in the right place as well. I think here people are open to you to testing new things, new concepts, as opposed to other places in the world. Like Europe, I would say that here you get more yes, at least. Okay, you open the door and let's test your concept. In your opinion, what are the main differences between business in the UAE and in the Gulf region, the Middle East at large, and Europe, the UK in particular?
I think for me, it's two things. One, like they mentioned, a very ambitious country, and open to new ideas. They don't necessarily have to work off the blueprint of this how it's always been, so this is how we're always going to do it, right? Like they're constantly sort of innovating. They're like, and they're happy to just hear people out. And I think that's my second point is your access to decision makers in this country is I think is a lot higher, right? Like and
Easier, I mean.
well, yeah. So getting to speak to the right person who can then open an opportunity up for you. Like whereas in
It's not as bureaucratic, probably.
yeah, correct. In UK, you probably got to send emails to 6 different levels before you get to that right person, right? And the chance of you ever getting to that right person is tough. Whereas I think the UAE, people are really sort of open to introducing you, hear your idea, they like what you're doing, they'll go out their way to go, do you know what, I know someone who can help you, right? Let me put you in contact. And then next thing you know, you're talking to someone who's super influential in a certain space who can then open up doors for you, or just because they like what you're doing. Whereas, like I said, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head, that sort of typical sort of bureaucracy of maybe some of the Western countries can sometimes get in the way a little bit of innovation. Again, I'm not saying that's a blanket statement, right? But I just feel like from my experience of building a startup in the UAE, is really exciting. But
Yeah, so you have one boy and one girl.
that's right.
One is 4, the other one is 2.
Yeah.
They'll be soon going to school.
Yeah.
And my question was, what is the difference between the school system here, educational system here, and the UK? Whether it's positive or less positive between both worlds. And if you could choose, would you send your kids here or there? I know your answer might be biased, but your answer be biased.
I don't know. I mean, I think that the education system is very different.
In what way?
In the sense that a lot of the education here is paid for. So someone has to pay for it, whether it's you as parents or whether it's your company or whatever. So a lot of it is private education. Private education. So it's, I suppose you can't necessarily compare apples for apples in the sense that, however, yeah, I mean, like the school that my wife works at, the school that Bradley's actually just started going to. Isabel will go to.
It's an international school.
Yes, it's a British international schools, and yeah, it's fantastic school and incredible opportunities for the children. These children who go to these schools, they speak multiple languages, they play musical instruments, play sport. Like the opportunity for them is fantastic, and I'm sure it's the same in great schools in the UK. But yeah, I'm very happy with the education and like especially in the, I've spent nearly every day over the last 2 years in a different school. Like, and going visiting schools, and the quality of education here is fantastic. So really proud to be working with a lot of the schools that we work with, and I know they're doing an incredible job for students and the parents.
Okay, well, I can see Abdullah here, my friend, part of the team, nodding when you mentioned international Paris schools. He's like, yeah, they are famous for being good quality schools, and you get the best curriculum that there's there in the country. Very good. Now, I would like to talk about your future or near future dreams for Squirrel, your plans. Currently, you're working in Abu Dhabi or across the country.
We've got like unintentionally we've got schools in Brazil or Mexico through to Sydney, right? Like in between, we're in the international at the moment. We're in the international school space, right? So there'll be teachers who were working in Hong Kong, then they're in the UAE, and then they move and they go to Mexico, right? Like, so they will then either refer us on to people in different schools that they've worked before, or they'll leave and go to a new school and say, Ben, can we set up Squirrel in this new school? I think we at the moment, because of a relatively small team, we are sort of building out from the UAE and the GCC. We want to move into the GCC, so we're in schools in Saudi, we're in schools in Qatar, we're in schools in Bahrain. So we want to build out our GCC presence, use that as a real sort of case study, and then take that to other parts of the world.
Right. So those are the future dreams. Make the platform bigger with more users.
Yeah,
I guess. So it's like a simulator, but have you thought about maybe creating programs where you have actors or non actors, but presenters who will take you from A to Z and then finance, or like more content related?
Yeah, so there'll be a lot more sort of traditional media format on the platform, videos like learner videos and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm in schools all the time. When I'm in schools, I deliver personal finance workshops. I think there's opportunity to do more stuff for children leaving to go off to university, make sure they're university ready, sort of thing. So yeah, there's probably space for us to do events. So there is definitely a lot of off-platform stuff that we can do to supplement what we're doing. And yeah, you're right, the platform evolved massively over in the short term. And we, like I say, I mean, we're around 25,000 children.
I mean,
25,000. But like, if we just built a platform that could cater for the middle school and senior school, technically we could triple overnight, right? Because we don't have to go, like, we can go within the same schools and just keep rolling out through. So I can see the usage of our platform increasing massively as we build out our platform to cater for more students for a wider age group.
Well, we're talking about we are in EdTech space, and I can't help but talking about AI and how it whatever it brought about in terms of ease of doing business, and we're nowadays we're talking about how AI can actually be beneficial for kids for education. Some teachers might be afraid of being replaced by AI, although I don't think it will happen. In your opinion, how can we teach kids how can we provide kids with financial education without, but at the same time making sure that they are not impacted by the side effects, the bad side effects of tech, being in front of the screen all the time. How do you work on this?
Us internally, what we
Yeah, as a Squirrel, did you consider this? Yeah, in addition to the platform, because you said you give workshops as well, like the human element is also important, right? The connection, the human connection. Do you do that, or what do you think for whoever say that? Yeah, but I don't want my kid to be glued to the screen to learn finance about finance. Um,
Well, I mean, look, we deliberately are building our platform so that it requires like really small amount of like time within the school week. Like, so at the moment, our platform, children realistically only need 10 minutes twice a week.
and it can be used with a teacher as well at the same time.
So we're trying to build it so that we don't need teacher input. So, like, in the sense that we recognize that there's very little curriculum time. No schools have specialist financial literacy teachers, and also all teachers are working super hard, right? So, wanted to build something that was deeply embedded into the school ecosystem, but didn't require like adding to a teacher's already busy workload. So, and also, none of us spend 3 hours a week on our online banking, right? We go on, become very efficient at what we need to do, and then move on with our life. And that's the same mindset that we're trying to create. So,
Consistency.
yeah, that small touch point, maybe 10 minutes twice a week, but those 10 minutes twice a week compounded over a 38-week academic year, and then hopefully multiple academic years, what we believe is going to lead to behavioral change. So we're deliberately not trying to build it so that it's something that necessarily children are like running home to play, because we're never going to compete with the likes of FIFA and Call of Duty. And I mean, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to build an educational product that has a role to play within the school ecosystem through the rules program, but then has small touch points where children are having to make decisions, decisions just consistently. Now, from an AI perspective, I think that AI can be revolutionary in a child's education if we use it properly.
Do you use it on your
Yeah, as well. I mean, what we're doing, we're essentially create like a little sort of AI financial literacy buddy for the children. So they've got like a persona that sits within the platform, which will nudge them in the right direction. So like they'll provide the squirrel. Yeah, oh nice. No, it could be evolved into a squirrel. At the moment, it's sort of like a sort of fake sort of character, but yeah, so it sort of nudges them in the right direction. So it's able to understand the children's behaviors, and then children who aren't paying their bills on time, or children who aren't moving money to savings, it gives them sort of like a nudge and like, oh, right, like, do you know the benefits of why it's important to do this? And we'll drip feed information, financial literacy information into the children, allow them to sort of answer questions and sort of converse in a sense. But again, in a very short sort of segments, not something that they're spending hours on, or it's not like they're trying to get to the point where they're beating a boss on a video game, right?
Yeah, exactly. As we talk about the gamification of learning, so I was like, I don't want parents to hear about Squirrel and they think, no, I don't want my kids spend hours playing video games.
Nah, it's
Right, instead of learning about money.
yeah. We will constantly look at building it so that it requires like I said, 10-15 minutes twice a week, right? So if it has certain places to sit within a school week. And then, because students have got so much they've got to deal with, right? Like they've all the different subjects. They all want to play sport, musical instruments, all this sort of stuff. So we recognise that financial literacy is still a nice to have subject, right? Like it's not like schools are much more focused on getting their children through maths, English, science, like just because that's what determines whether that child pushes on to the next stage of their academic lives, right? And go to university or whatever. So we recognize that, and we're like, right, help us let you embed one of life's most important life skills with a very little impact on you as a school, you as your curriculum and your staff. Let us take care of it in small segments. And so that's what's being really sort of
That's a good selling point, actually. That's very smart. Yeah, exactly. So it's you're solving a problem without adding to, without creating new problems, without adding to the heavy curriculum that they're already exposed to. What about parents? I guess many parents. I'd love to hear some of your anecdotes that you might have had. Some parents actually are not educated themselves about money, so they feel like people other than children have been learning on the platform at the same time, or teachers probably.
we. It's funny. A lot of schools they do ask that question. What's your experience been like with parents now? Like, I think that's because money is one of those subjects that's not talked about, and I think they're concerned. Like parents maybe have certain views, but like from our experience, it's only been super positive. We get videos sent in by parents, like WhatsApp videos. The children are paying their bills on the way to school in the car or around the breakfast table on weekends, and teachers are telling us they get stopped at the gate and saying like, "Thank you so much for teaching our children about financial literacy." And these teachers come back to us and they feel like frauds a little bit because they're obviously actually not delivering financial literacy. But but again, like we just want to empower these schools because not one, not one headmaster or senior leader within a school has said to me, "We're already doing way too much of this. We don't need it." Like every school knows they need to be doing more. It's like how, it's like with what time, but what resources, uh, and parents have really sort of taken up. I do coffee mornings with parents. I do webinars, like, so with schools, and I'm like, look, if you're concerned about it, stick me in front of them, right? And let me handle any questions they've got. And every time I'm in front of parents, they're just so positive and they're so like, this is great that our children did. So I think maybe schools have this preconceived ideas that potentially parents um, will be concerned that the children are learning about money in school, and it's really not the case.
Yeah. Do you think maybe that's because teachers themselves or school personnel are not properly educated about money and finances? Uh,
Yeah, maybe. I think, look,
can we maybe need to open a new branch for teachers, or
yeah, look, I haven't come across any school that has a financial literacy department or a head of financial literacy, right? So I do think that maybe there's some apprehension from their side. But again, that's the reason why we're building it the way we are. We're not asking them to teach financial literacy. Let us deal with that, right? Like, just open the space for your children to interact with our platform. We'll take care of the rest.
I just feel like there's a need to change the mindset in the educational space, like teachers themselves. They need to learn more about finances, what money means. I remember the other day, a couple weeks ago, one of my daughters came to me, who live in France, and she said, the teacher was asking about future professions. So some kids said, I would like to be a police officer. The other one said a doctor. And then one of the kids said, I'd love to be a soccer player and football player. And the teacher was like, no, that's not a job. Uh, and then my daughter was like, oh, okay, well, that's why I learned today. Because I asked them, what have you done today? And I was like, no, actually, that's a job. And if it's done well, can be very rewarding. Can become a millionaire if you're playing football. And then I felt like maybe teachers need as well programs. Uh, they need to learn about how to create this mindset of abundance, of non-traditional ways of making money and investing money as well, or making a living. Is that how does it look inside Squirrel? Do you have different? Do you teach about this? What money means, how you make money, how you retain and then invest money, you make it multiply, just to get a sense of us, or is it too early for, in your opinion, to talk about these topics?
I don't think there's ever a too early time. The reality is that from 3 years old, children are starting to grasp the concept of like trade and understand the value of things. Cambridge University have released studies that said by 7, our relationship with money is starting to formalize. 7 years old, right? So things can't be too early, right? Like, the reality is that a lot of our relationship with money is formed from those really young, that really young age of what we see, what we hear, and that's why we're so passionate of trying to start as early as possible, because those early years are so influential in terms of where we're heading. So, um, but yeah, I mean, like, we want to support teachers. We'll create stuff to support teachers, but I mean, teachers are just like any other people work in other professions, right? I've worked with people who are very senior in banking, right? And don't necessarily have the right mindset, skills, and to handle their own personal finance, right? So people that you necessarily think that would have all that sort of knowledge, they don't. I mean, so like they like it really is a generational problem, right? And people not talking about money, people not learning about money, and that's why we're going back and starting at grassroots, right? Instead of trying to treat symptoms, let's go to the root cause, and let's
So what do you think the root cause is? Because some conspiracy theorists would be like, they don't want you to know about money so they can take your money, like the system, whatever. What do you think we have this problem globally? And how can we change the mindset? Like here in the UAE, you just mentioned that they are open, people of the government, that the state is open to introduce this in the public, in schools at large. But we still don't have this in Europe and other parts of the world. Why do you think that's happening, and how can we change it?
um. It's a question. Why do I think that it's not taught in schools? I mean, it's like it doesn't make sense to me, in the sense that it, it's something that affects every single child. I said this earlier in the podcast. Every single child that goes through our education system will interact with money at some point, like in their life, right? So it doesn't make sense to me why we don't include it. I think that because teachers don't, but it's not part of their teacher training, or we have specialist teachers. Like, there's no way to assess it. No one's like supervising it, or like when inspectors come around to schools to inspect schools, no one's sort of assessing how well it's been delivered. And so, like, it's like, where do we put it in? Do we try and squeeze it into subjects, or do we have it as a standalone subject? Like, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and there's a lot of changes that need to be made. I think we're massively, that we're not, I don't want to say massive too late. It's just like, this should have happened a long time ago, but like the second best time to start is now, isn't there? Right? So let's all pull together. I think no one can sit here and say that that is not something that we should expose our children to, right? Like, I've never come across people who have said that, right? So okay, well, we all know that. We all know the effects of it, of not teaching it, right? I stood in front of a number of head teachers at a big education conference in the Middle East recently. I was like, look, if you knew that a child, like, its current lifestyle was going to lead to type 2 diabetes, or if you knew that a child's sort of current stress was going to develop into to like mental health related issues, you'd be doing something today, right? We know that the lack of understanding around money causes mental health related issues. It causes issues in relationships. It causes people to be underprepared for future life. It causes like a widening gap, like sort of wealth gap between sort of minorities and gender, sexes and genders. Like, we know all this, right? The statistics are there for everyone to see, yet we do nothing about it today, or very little about it today. So I think that everyone's very much aware of the problem. Now it's like, okay, right, well, let's do something, right? And I think what we're trying to do is like trying to help schools like do something without actually asking them to do too much, right? Let's just start there. Let us come take strain for you, and then let's then build past that. Can we then develop your teachers? Can we then like have more in-person stuff where it's being delivered by the school? Like, we can evolve through that, but like going from 0 to 100 is probably not sustainable, right? And so let's just try and start by having that. Like, that's what I always talk to schools about. I say, like,
So your part of your work is to educate actually the schools first before you sell them.
oh, like, I think the way it's currently working is like, let us show you, right, how we can get it into your school, so like how it can benefit children, and then that conversation then starts, right? But yeah, I mean, most of the time I'm just like, they're like, well, what can we do? And I was like, well, how about just opening up debate within your class and just talking about different topics? Doesn't necessarily have to be like mathematical. Be like, right, if I have $100 and I invest it from 10%, what does that one of the questions I always say, like, if time was a currency, how would you spend it? Right? Like, just stuff like that, where you get children start to see what money actually is, and what it could do, and actually understand, okay, well, put money aside, how would I live my life? Like, that sort of thing. So I think just starting by opening those conversations, like trying to get rid of that stigma or taboo about money, and I think that's a great starting
And
point.
I think this topic can be introduced to different subjects as well. Like math, you can learn math and apply math to money, or vice versa, right? So you can do it in a joint way, right? As a parent, how should we address this? Like, if your kid comes up to you and asks you how much money you made, that how should parents, handle this topic, in your opinion?
Look, I think there's going to be stuff that you're comfortable answering, and there's stuff that maybe you're not. And I don't think you should never maybe forego your current values. Everyone's different, right? Um, I would I would just be open to having more generic conversations with your children about money. Um, Never lie to your children, right? I don't, like, don't sort of make up scenarios, or just like, and also be open to say, do you know what? Maybe I don't know, but why don't we go out and find out together? Like, I don't know the answers to your questions, but let's make it uh, an action for us to go and find that out together, and we can sit and have a discussion about it. Or why don't you go maybe find out? Yeah, and I'll go find out. And we'll come together and see whether we align on that, right? Like there's nothing shameful about that, right? And I think that children are never going to question, like, on why don't you know that, or have an expectation that you're going to know. They're not going to judge you, and I think that's maybe sometimes my parents' hesitance. Like, am I teaching children the right thing? Well, like, if you don't know the answer, go and find out, right? And go and make it a learning experience.
But sometimes I think pride gets in the way, but that's the old generation. Nowadays, you can just tell them, I don't know. Let's Google it. Let's ask ChatGPT about it. And kids are more accepting of that fact now. It's part of their reality, right? Being exposed to internet, and sometimes you tell me, Dad, look it up on the phone.
Yeah.
So it's totally, we don't have to know everything, because we are parents. And I think in the process, you're teaching them that maybe I don't know how to get there, but I know, but actually, no, maybe I don't know how to do it, but I know how to get there
Yeah.
by,
I think it's a huge lesson. I think Tony Robbins talks about it. It's like, not having you, not having resources isn't the issue. It's like, if you can't be resourceful and go and find how are you going to tackle something, that's more the problem, right? Like, so that teaching your children, like, "Okay, we don't know, but where do we go and get the information, or how do we tackle this?" Or, I think that's a huge life lesson, and especially if you can do it together, and they'll really appreciate that, and that is a huge learning experience. And obviously that as well, like, you teaching reinforces your understanding.
you learn. Exactly, learn by teaching. Actually, that's the best way to learn something, is by teaching it. But this is great, actually, that we're talking about not having resources. Recently, the government of the UAE has launched a campaign saying, "Bring." The title was "Bring Your Impossible to the UAE." And this campaign was run by an actor, a British actor, Idris Elba, sorry, and very interesting video. And I'd like you to share with us, or your advice and your take on being an entrepreneur, for an entrepreneur coming to this part of the world. How easy or hard it was for you to start a business? What are the advantages of being based here and running a business from here globally, especially as a tech entrepreneur?
Um, Look, other than the bits that we addressed already about, like, the ecosystem and getting access to the right decision makers, like I said to you before, the mindset is very ambitious. Um, there is obviously resources here if you've got the right idea, and people. There's enough people that can get behind and make an idea become a reality.
Should you go to an accelerator like you did?
Well, I mean, I think that's a good way to start. for any startup founder, I mean, especially if it's your first time, I think that whole process of structuring your thinking, your sort of go to market, your financial sort of understanding of what that projections could be like.
And for finance guys yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, well, again, I've worked in personal finance, but like startup, running business, and understanding the financials. I mean, I knew that sort of stuff, but like I can always get a lot better. Like, and when you're actually putting it into reality. But yeah, I think going through those accelerate programs are a great opportunity. So again, network, meet new people, get onto people's radar, tell your story. Yeah, get some buzz around what you're trying to do. But yeah, I think the Middle East is a great place to start a business. I think one bit of advice I would say is that you're more likely going to get help, or people are more likely going to reach out and support you if you look like you are genuine about supporting this region. I think probably people might.
I'm not here for a quick buck, but you're coming here to contribute to the.
People both be. I think people see through that, and from a million miles away, right? And if you are looking to just come in and just see dollar signs, and then realistically run your business outside the country where you just have a service office here,
Just for the tax
region. I really think that you're missing the point. I think if you come here, you're genuine about trying to build from here, contribute to the region. You have a genuine passion about the people who are in this country. There's a lot of support for that, and there's a lot of good initiatives and corporates and government departments who will get behind what you're doing if you are genuine about what you're trying to achieve here, rather than just, like I said, rather than just be here on paper and operate back out somewhere else.
Well, as a local, Abdul, do you have any questions for Ben?
No, to emphasize on that, I guess you've already seen maybe the perks of being here and working here instead of being a foreign company coming from outside and serving the local market. Because I guess if you
Because you were already here, yeah, and he started a business, so he saw you as part of the community. So it's important to come across as part of the community, that you're here, you're settled here, and you're willing to contribute to the people who are living here, or the ecosystem.
Yes.
and even when you work with schools, yeah, in this case, Tiro and Goro.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm so passionate. I feel like Abu Dhabi has given me a lot in my life, and came here very quickly after my wife arriving here as my girlfriend at the time. We got married.
4 kids.
Yeah, 4 kids, but I've had my 2 children here. Like, I've had some of the best years of my life here. Like, and I've loved every minute of living here. So I feel so passionate about building our platform. Abu Dhabi born startup, doing it, like, in a sense, that sort of like financial literacy from Abu Dhabi to the rest of the world sort of mindset, and that's really is the sort of core of everything that we're doing, and we really are proud of that. Yeah, and it's something that we want to achieve. We want the UAE or Abu Dhabi in particular, like, let's be the beacon of light for financial literacy and how financial literacy is delivered in schools and to the youth, for the rest of the world to look in on and go, cool, they know what they're doing. Let's follow their lead. Like, that's what I want for Abu Dhabi, and obviously that's a huge thing to do, and hopefully we can play a big part in that. I'm not saying that we're going to be the only driver in that, and there's probably a lot of different entities who can contribute and add a lot to that. But that's what I want for Abu Dhabi. I think not many governments are getting it right. So if we can help Abu Dhabi or the UAE be that beacon of light to the rest of the world, I think that's a pretty cool mission.
Yeah, that's actually a big mission, and especially in a young country. The Middle East has a very young population compared to Europe. So 30, over 60% of the population is under 30. So you have a lot of work to do. As advices for parents out there, for entrepreneurs, for educators.
No, I think we had a pretty comprehensive conversation. I'd say, all I would say is, look, if this episode resonated with you as a teacher, then we're more happy, and Squirrel's more than happy to support in any way we can. as a parent, like, just start that conversation, bring that barrier down in your home, like, make children feel comfortable. They can come to you and ask about money, and in a way that is you're still comfortable with. But yeah, I think that if everyone can do their little bit to raise awareness of how important it is, and for people, the children understand and start money, we can try and get that sort of snowball in. I think we're all heading in the right direction. So, but thank you so much.
Thanks. We both for having us.